Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. I'm your host for this session. I'm Sean.
And I'm Kevin.
And together we're going to talk about a unique problem that you might be having in your sales process, in your sales world. This 15 minutes is designed for salespeople, sales managers, and CEOs of the company that are trying to increase their revenue and trying to be more productive in your sales processes. So let's get started.
Thank you very much for coming back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We had a slight scheduling problem, and Tom Daly was not able to come back and be on this episode with us for Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Instead, we're just going to have just Kevin and I talk. Hopefully that's okay. Please come back next week where Tom is going to join us again, and we're going to talk about how his wisdom can help you grow sales. Kevin, can you kick us off?
You may be glued to your television. It is March Madness time, which means the round of 64 play-in games and one national championship on the college NCAA stage for both men's and women's basketball. But I'm not here to talk to you about that, but I am here to use that as an analogy to talk about sales strategy. Because business owners, salespeople, sales leaders, you have a need to get to the final game. And the final game for you is the customer relationship. How do you win the customer relationship? That's where you get to hold up the trophy, because the trophy is the relationship. In the spirit of NCAA, you got 4 regions, and they're all playing in with seeds and whatnot. But I want to back away from that for a minute and have you think about all those regions being different parts of the sales strategy. How you go to market, what messages you use, what people you use, and what product introduction and solution formation you use to win the hearts and minds of the prospect. I'm here with Sean as usual, and we're thinking basketball because he's a basketball nut. And since we're two tall guys talking sales, it's only appropriate that we really talk about basketball as an analogy. Right, Sean?
Absolutely, Kevin. I'm actually going to take it one step before that and think about the whole season leading up to that final game. Because really, if you talk to anybody that's ever played really high-level basketball, high-level sports at all, they talk about you got your regular season, and that's kind of the warm-up. That's kind of gets all of the kinks all worked out until it's time for the game. Game being the final game of the tournament that you're trying to get ready for. Everybody's working towards that goal. And all of that preparation is so important. And that just proving out your skills, working on your skills, working on how you work together, and all those things that you just described, Kevin, where they all come together. That's where you're trying to figure out, well, this person is really good at this. This tool is really good for this. This message is really good for inspiring this. And you're working that out all season long. And now it's time to win the deal. And now you're getting to that final game. You're working on your tournament. All those things are coming together. And I think that's really important to remember that we're trying to fine tune all of our stuff all the time, trying to make the best sales message we possibly can, the best spin on our product, the best way to put our product forward, the best person to explain the product to the prospect so that you can all the way to the end and we can go to the final game and win the deal.
100%. And so we've seen the top 25 rankings. I'm going to partner on because I'm in complete agreement. The top 25 rankings is like marketing before we get to an actual sales cycle. We're just getting noticed. The top 25 rankings is us trying to get noticed by the prospect. And as we get to the end of the season, the conference championships and on to the round of 64, we're starting to pass through all these gates. Now, this is important now because I want you to think about all the teams that are actually playing March Madness right now. They have been refining their craft all season long. They've got the 6th man, the 7th man on the bench, the 8th man on the bench. It's into the starting lineup. Somebody's hurt. I mean, these things happen in business too. We've got territories that are high performing, regions that are high performing, people in regions that are high and low performing. People that get hurt, whether it's a product. I used to sell in a product-heavy industries. I had manufacturers that have declared force majeure. So promises that I had made couldn't be fulfilled. How do you deal with that? Because the revenue goal is still the same. People that we are selling for still need that revenue and profit to pay the other people that are supporting us selling a product. These things are really important. So when you're thinking about preseason, the season, conference tournament, NCAA tournament, it's the same progression in business. We've got people we're trying to attract and hire. We're testing the talent. We're coaching. We're hiring people as strength and conditioning strategy coaches. In the world of sales strategy, we have to be doing all those same things. Do I want to enter a new geography or vertical, or do I want to launch a new product? Is my strategy going to be high cost, high value, low cost, transferable value, really low cost of customer acquisition? Am I going to be complete solution or part of a solution and I'm just really good at, right? We have to figure out our place in the market. That's the kind of sales strategy. And then the methodology. Am I going to be largely outbound strategy, largely inbound? Am I going to have a direct sales force, an indirect, meaning a rep agency, indirect sales force, affiliate marketing? All these things come into the sales strategy. When you're questioning what kind of strategy to use, that's when you're maybe even beyond. This is kind of the play-in game kind of thinking, where you're starting to do demographic, psychographic analysis of the person you're selling to. Now, if you're a sales leader, owner, or salesperson who's never thought about this, I want you to take a breath. You don't have to do this all at once. We're not actually trying to go from preseason to the national championship in one leap. What we're trying to encourage you to do is say, hey, this sales is a progression. Product analysis, product market fit, PMF. You may hear some pundits talking about PMF or product market fit. There's a rationalization through the entire life cycle of a product or an industry on how to best serve a market. As a person who may be new to this, think through, well, who should I be talking to? If I'm selling ERP software, Sean and I both have that in our background, should I be talking to just the person who's using it? Just a user? Probably not. I may need their opinion about how they use it, but I really probably need to be finding my way up the decision ladder to influencers, product champions, project sponsors, decision makers. In Sean and I's life, there were often multiples of those. It was a decision by committee kind of approach. Same thing goes for when you get ranked and seeded into a basketball tournament. You have to be perceived as a top tier, mid tier, or struggling team and get entree to the tournament. Same thing goes when people are looking at you as a product or solution provider. They're ranking you, they're force ranking you based on your market performance, your season, on how you should be slotted into the tournament, how you should be slotted in. Some people, like, I have been a part of many RFP, many times I have had to fill out, who's the corporate board? How long have I been in business? What type of work have we done like this before? And if I couldn't answer those questions because our company had never done that before, that often got us unseated. We had to either play in because we knew somebody who knew somebody, or we didn't get a chance to play. We just got to watch somebody else sell because we didn't have the qualification. There is a point here where you need to be thinking about, do I have a seat in the tournament versus not? But also, once I get there, what are the strategies I'm going to use defensively and offensively to get to the next round? Because you can't just focus on the national championship game. You can't focus on the final proposal. That's called proposing too quick. You have to stage gate your activities to where you're teaching them commercially about you, your solution, how your solution impacts them. Sean teaches a whole course on MedPick, which is amazing. You should absolutely ask him about that. But when it comes down to brass tacks, it's our job as great salespeople or aspiring to be great salespeople and sales leaders to consider all these sales strategic pieces. Sean, I just did a monologue there. Man, I'm sure I skipped some stuff. What did I miss?
Well, I'd like to actually expand on the idea of the tournament. I'm a big fan of the NCAA basketball tournament. I watch it every year, and I've watched it every year for decades. And as big of a fan as I am, except for the times when my favorite team, but my wife's college, was in the Final Four, I couldn't tell you today who 3 years ago won the Western region. I can't tell you who won that one. Made the Final Four. I can't tell you who won it. I probably can tell you who won the tournament, though. The reality is in sales, and the reality is in basketball tournaments or football tournaments or any other kind of elimination kind of event that you've ever been through, there is only one winner. And it's important to win. When we're talking about winning the tournament, we're talking about winning the deal, we have to understand we have lots of competitors. And every year, the team that wins the NCAA tournament has 67 competitors that they are fighting to win the full tournament. 67 other teams want to be number one. 68 teams want to be number one. You and 67 of your competitors are trying to be the only team that ends the season with a victory. You want to be number one. You want to eliminate all of the competition. And that's what the NCAA tournament, that's what all tournaments are all about. Also what sales is all about. Everybody enters the tournament thinking it could be us. It could be us. My wife went to Purdue. I really remember when they were a 1 seed and they lost to a 16 seed. I remember that so well. She reminds me of it all the time. A 1 seed, Purdue, lost to a 16 seed. I can't remember who the 16 seed was because they didn't win the tournament. But I do remember when the 1 seed lost. Now everybody thinks you're a 16 seed. It doesn't matter. I can win this tournament because 16 can win. I got a shot. I got to play. Doesn't matter if they're the 1 seed or the 16. Everybody thinks they can win. And only one will. One of those 68 that get entered into the tournament, only one of them is going to win. And how are you going to beat the other ones? You're going to beat them through better execution of the plan. You're going to beat them through luck a little bit. Let's just face it, because luck has something to do with just about everything we do when we win. You're going to beat them through hard work, determination, being meaner than the other guy, being nicer than the other guy. Whatever it takes to win, that's what it's going to take to win. And that's what you have to do in sales as well. When you're trying to sell a product, you're up against your competition. You got to understand, the only one that wins, the only one has the trophy is one team. There might be a trophy for second place, but it's an ugly trophy, and you really don't want it.
John, I love that, the ugly trophy, and nobody wants that. But I do want to have our listening audience think about a couple of things. Number one, the ACC is the best conference, and I stand on that firmly. But I also remember a time when my team got beat by a 15 seed or 13 seed, when Chapel Hill got beat by Gonzaga. There's two stories you can tell here. And this has been a while, but one was a birthing moment of a program when Gonzaga really got a lift in their stature as a basketball program, went on to do great things for a lot of years and still doing so. Chapel Hill got to tuck our tails between our legs and go home and watch the rest of the tournament from home. Now, that was also a galvanizing moment for that team and that class of folks going through. As salespeople, we're going to lose some deals we should win. When you're thinking about strategy, just because you think you have the right strategy, you could still lose a deal. This is why it's so important for you sales leaders and business owners and founders listening. When you lose a deal that you should have won, you should absolutely, without question, without exception, postmortem that deal. You should do that on most of your deals anyway, especially your big ones. But when you lose one you should have won, you really need to take as my friend Jim Costello says, take an intellectually honest approach to why you lost that deal. So important. And for Gonzaga, figuring out why you won. If you're that Cinderella that has a Cinderella story, there's one every tournament. When you break that story down into the components, pieces, were we successful because we over-prepared? Did we just simply watch more film and anticipate? We were able to anticipate because of preparation. I've been an underdog and won deals I shouldn't have won. And that's because of my preparation, my follow-up. Sean, you mentioned it earlier or in the last episode about handwritten notes versus email thank yous. There are memorable moments where you connect with a person that typically you would lose to. And it's so important that we call that out as salespeople because Sean mentioned luck earlier, and it's luck and the power to do the simple things well. So as you're approaching the rest of this March Madness tournament, there's going to be lots of ups and downs. You're going to pick some right. You're going to pick some wrong. Men's and women's, it doesn't matter. They're all going to be good games. Watch them. Let that unfold in your mind of who should win, who should be the second place in every contest, and figure out why. And then apply what you learned there. Was it the skill? Was it the simple matchup? Tall people, short people, fast people, slow people. Figure out what it was. Was it, hey, I'm a West Coaster playing East Coast time, or I'm an East Coaster playing West Coast time? Or was my body clock off? Was I playing what would typically be an 11 o'clock game and it's 7 a.m.? Kind of craziness. These things happen, and it's important for us to know where we win, how we win, and why we win. And right now, we're winning because we're right here at the 15-minute mark. And with March Madness still on the TV, we're going to give you 30 seconds extra of time to go watch another little piece of a ball game and get caught up on all the other scores. With that, go Heels and happy March Madness and go sell something. And that's a wrap. Thanks again for joining Kevin and Sean on Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Tune in every Tuesday, or when our podcast drops every Tuesday at 4:30, wherever you consume your podcast. And don't miss our monthly CEO workshop, where we unpack some of the big CEO questions facing your business. Until next time, we're looking forward to seeing you. Happy selling.